And take two. Camera two. Marc Yamaguchi at your service. This is officially the week one announcement in which we kick off the course. We had a dry run before. Don't know if you watched that video. I only got 5 minutes to get my information out there. So I thought I've got to put something else into the YouTube that allows the information to breathe, so that I'm not making you feel so uptight about what you got to go track down and how much you got to put into this course without blowing a gasket. I know I'm talking ad lib, and no, I don't have PowerPoints. No, I don't apply the Respondus Monitor Lockdown browser. No, I don't turn on my camera when you do tests in the Zoom. For assessment purposes, I'm the guy who's in the dark and give you a little taste of your own medicine, because I'm anticipating many of you won't turn on your cameras during our regular lectures. Maybe not even the first class, but I hope you do, because we have a bit of a test in store that has no grades attached to it. So nobody has to get all worked up in a tizzy because you're being asked to write a preliminary essay on your first day of school, and it's like, holy happy 2025, what's this you're handing me, Yamaguchi? And I'm not handing you anything, first of all, because we're entirely in the Zoom for the next 14 weeks. Would I have preferred to teach you in person? Absolutely. And you can ask anybody that's gone through like a 160 with me. Last one I did in person was Ashtonby. But the point I'm trying to make is, although not ideal, there are always pros and cons, right, to things like this brand new learning platform. This Illuminate is different than our eCentennial, the former Desire to Learn, LMS, but this is our reality, and we're starting anew, and we will, as I mentioned in the previous video, practice self-compassion. So we forgive ourselves for a few mistakes here and there and try to understand when things don't go quite right, and so we accommodate where we can. Now, people have to be realistic with what they expect to get out of communicating with me when they don't do what they need to do. And you can find out all about that by reading, or let's say downloading, the evaluation schedule that's posted in a separate module. I think it's one of the first ones in our stack of clickables in our course shell. But the purpose of that is to make sure you know what's coming. I'm giving you a heads up. You make the arrangements with the boss or with your families. I mean, you're in school. You've chosen this time block for a reason, and you have to honor that. And I will work to the best of my ability to minimize the work that's done outside of that Wednesday time block, 12:30 to 3:20 officially. But because we're in the Zoom, I am fatigued too. I've taught many courses online, and I've survived through the pandemic, and I've been at the college since before the pandemic. But I know that there is a limit to how much I can lecture. Not just because of my personal energy reserves, but because you are on the receiving end of this. And I'd like to keep it light, and I'd like to make it worthwhile every time you do turn on your Zoom. Remember, you got to get the app. in order to take in this video, for example. But the idea here is we make it worth your while. And so when you do log in, there is a number of assessments that require you to keep your camera on as the fair trade for not applying Respondus Monitor Lockdown Browser. You still have to be compliant in terms of, okay, so with the camera on, it's got to be you in the camera frame until you're done and you've submitted your assignment, right? That's common sense. But we are working on the honor code here. And ideally, you'll get the hang of this because there's just so much technology out there that enable people in a not so authentic way. You catch my drift? We need you to be as raw as possible, that your assessments are largely based on your original reflections about your experience and observations of topics that are thrown at you. This textbook contains the course materials for virtually all your assessments. And so, while not ideal, you have a number of sight readings over the next 14 weeks, and you're asked to comment on them. Informal assessments, but it's kind of indulgent in the sense that you're being asked to share your views about that topic, as in what do they mean to you every time you're introduced to a new topic, which won't be so new if you take up on my advice or my tip to go and get a copy for yourself. It used to be a mandatory text. You had to buy into the MindTap, the e-textbook version, so that you could do these grammar modules. Don't know if any of you have been at the college long enough to remember those days, but the point is that is no more. And so it's optional. And yet it's so much in your interest to get a copy and work with this thing. Not only because I told you last time, or in the previous video, that there's 170 content built into this thick sucker. I mean, we can't do all of it, and we shouldn't. And I will caution you when to put the brakes on, man. Don't be so eager to jump into 170. We want to make sure we learn the fundamentals in 160 first in order to smooth your transition, help you succeed, and really enjoy your time in 170 versus struggle through it and barely manage to pass it. You know what I mean? The 160 is this great opportunity to take a pause. It's not on model route exactly, but once you get into 170, you're basically in working proficiency level English. And that's the one that everybody aspires to. So we're just a little shy of that plateau, which I'm going to help you get to and help things make sense to you as you come up to new challenges. And so what we're doing in the next 14 weeks really is rehashing your knowledge initially of the paragraph basics, right? And so it's prose. There's nothing pretty about it. It's not poetry. This is not a literature course. We are working with practical English templates that allow you to communicate better on the job, right? So when you form an answer, we're looking for a good argument. Good argument is based on providing evidence. Evidence is in the form of specific details. Specific details get nicely ordered in this major, minor, major, minor, major, minor pattern. And once you learn that pattern, once you got that template, this is something that can be transferable to your preliminary essay, which is the goal of the 160. It is, in fact, the basis for the PWS, as well as your exit test, the final writing test of the term. And you'll see that the narrative comes full circle. You may feel it's unfair to be hit with a preliminary essay, on the first day. I'm getting excited, can you tell? But the idea is we don't grade you on the first try. We let you have this booklet that provides the template, the how-to, to pass the course in April and do it with flying colors. That is the goal. Hopefully you all get the hang of this and that you see that there are paragraph principles that carry forward into the essay. And we only go so far as the preliminary essay. When you go 170, you're expected to do 5 paragraphs minimum. With the 160, it's 3 paragraphs. So plain and simple, a preliminary essay is 3 paragraphs that have this thematic and logical link with a thesis statement on top and a concluding statement underneath. Bada bing, bada boom. And the trick, the art to doing well in the course is this integration with the original article that the topic of your test is associated with. So we have to somehow make the bridge from the original article that starts the conversation to our compositions, which finishes it, closes the deal in our own personal view. That requires a lot of customization. It's not relying on the textbook article. That's just what we call on the periphery or in the margins. The majority, the bulk of your answer and your development as a good writer, good communicator, is in how you creatively start to outline your view and how it's reliable, credible, respectable. You want people to respect you. You want to have that authority. You want to have people cherish and value your contributions. I know it's no small thing. And maybe English was never been, as you see yourself, as your strong point. But keep your minds open. It may surprise you. You may find my teaching style a little annoying. I hope that kind of improvisation, this lack of predictable delivery of English lessons, refreshing. And you might even like my music. But that's something that I pepper you with because I want you to stay engaged and I want you to feel like this is good value for your money. And I want to believe that you have derived some benefit, like educational benefit, from taking the 160 as it supports you through the rest of your educational journey at Centennial and beyond. Buzz Lightyear's got great hair. I wish I had hair like that guy. But I am an aging professor, what can I say? And yeah, you will never see my bald spot because this is the angle with which I communicate, right? I'm having fun with you already. I would really like to meet you and see what you're all about too. So let me conclude by saying there's a couple of things to remember to do in this first week of school. Number one, of course, is finding your copy of the COMM 160 Canadian Writers Workplace. 9th edition is the way to go. That's the most current version, and that's where your tests come from. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Grammar quizzes, etc. Yeah, lots of goodies in there. We'll talk more about that later. Number 2, you have that mandatory student video ID or student introductory video. You got to post something that's 60 seconds long, much shorter than what I'm doing here. Doesn't have to be 5 minutes like I did the first time I did a video. I have this propensity to talk and talk and talk. My nickname's Yammers. But you have just a 60-second, hello, Mark, I'm so-and-so, here's my card. Could be photo ID from your driver's license, whatever you have on hand that's official photo ID. You have to flash it there and pause for a couple seconds, maybe 2-3 seconds, right? But the rest is, this is my program. Nice to meet you. We'll catch you next Wednesday in the Zoom. Done. That's two things. The third thing is, of course, to get familiar with the Luminate and putter about and try to, make sure you know to go in the announcements to get your Zoom, your invitation to next week's class, but also the places where you post your tests that you take in the Zoom, for example, or assignments, because not everything is like a test done in class. There are some take-homes as well. We'll discuss that in the days to come, weeks to come. You have, of course, access to the evaluation schedule and the course outline, so you get a taste, but don't get overwhelmed by all the information that's there. I think right now we only have about 3 weeks available, so go nuts. But I sincerely hope that you take your time and recognize, we're not here to make your lives miserable by doing a course that you don't want to do. I'd like to think this might be a welcome outlier and something that's a little bit off the wall, something that kind of keeps everything fresh, right? Because it's tough out there. I know people are struggling. I know for various reasons that, we could use a break. And I hope that 2025 represents that return to optimism, because people have been really sour. And what that looks like really depends on you. And so I'm hopeful that you look at this as a chance to invest in yourselves. So what you put in is what you get out. And that simple advice will keep you sane and help prevent any meltdowns or things that come up and really upend you. Now, that said, I can be a reasonable person. I do require you to communicate with me ASAP when something prevents you from doing what you normally would do. So if you're looking for an accommodation, first one would be, of course, the calcs, official documentation. But if it's for a personal matter, email is the best way to reach me. The quickest way, using the My Centennial email. And you have that. Everybody's got a My Centennial email. If you're emailing from your personal account, that's fine too. I'll reply using my Centennial email, which I will share in Zooms in the coming days, which you can find, I think, in the week 1 module. It's that weird spelling, though, and I don't recommend you follow what I'm doing now, but I'll say it anyway. It's MYAMAGUC at my.centennialcollege.ca. Crazy spelling, right? People mess it up all the time unless they're able to copy and paste it into their sender or recipient field of their email. But MYAMAGUC, attach that to the handle at my.centennialcollege.ca. You got me within 1 business day. Gotta give me about a business day to get back to you, but this is the best way to communicate. And that's it. That's all for now. Be great to see you again in week 2, and have yourselves an awesome rest of the week.